Well, thanks again. I should mention we quickly skimmed by the revisions to the agenda, and I am aware that the move that Una Workabow of Move 2030 might have a time constraint. So
Okay.
when we come to the community partners, with her input, we might want to shuffle those items, and she might not be the only participant that has time constraints. So in front of you, you should see the community partners order. But if we wish to revise it for anybody's schedule, let's speak up now. Una, what was your time constraint?
Yes, please. I'm in the middle of another meeting right now, and then I have another one at 11. So I'm very happy to be part of this group and to give a presentation. So certainly if it is allowed, it would be nicer to be earlier in the conversation rather than later.
Can you do it now?
Sure.
And then we'll come back to Supervisor Hashik.
And Una, I have a slide deck that might help you.
Oh.
You haven't seen it, but I'll pull it up.
That's fantastic. Everyone loves a surprise on Friday morning.
Right. So
with that,
let me get back to where I am and do a screen share.
Oh, look at you.
I stole these from the Move 2030.
No, you just borrowed them. You didn't steal
I borrowed them. I mean, I'm part of that group, so it was available to me. And
exactly.
Good job, Jeff.
Thanks.
So thank you. This is wonderful. So the meeting that I'm currently in is actually the California Economic Summit that's happening, was all day yesterday and today. And I will say that during this virtual event that has been extremely full of just amazing pieces of information across the board, broadband is being discussed everywhere around the state. So it's been really exciting hearing from other locations and their challenges and how they're overcoming them and how it is involved with virtually everything with economic development and how we need to ensure that economic development is part of the conversation with broadband. So that is what I'm also multitasking with today. I believe the last time we spoke at your last quarterly meeting, we were going into or had just had our August 10th stakeholder meeting. And that was an invitation out to the community. We had over 80 participants, which ended up breaking into several action teams. One of those teams was about entrepreneurship, one was about business growth, one was about tech and green infrastructure. And as you can kind of see here in front of you from one of those action slides that Jeff borrowed, these teams then met 4 times each over 2 months. And an incredible amount of information came from these community stakeholder groups. Really exciting. And the ones that really apply to you the most is of course tech, which Jeff has been very much involved with, as is Michelle Hutchins, and I cannot tell you how blessed we are having her in our community. And I know she's on this call, so I don't want to gush over her too much, but she is such an asset, and her and Jeff as well, Ted and Brenda are of course on the call too, and they've been very instrumental in these projects. But you know, getting tech in the elementary school process is very important, not only to our educational system, but to our workforce development. And workforce development is of course hand in hand with economic development. And so you all know how important broadband is. So these slides that Jeff can go through are basically going to break down some of the things that we've identified need to happen in this Move 2030 project. And let me remind you that Move 2030 stands for Mendocino Opportunities for a Vibrant Economy. And that 2030 is a little reminder that it's not going to happen overnight. We have 10 years to put together a plan of economic resiliency for the county, and we are well on our way of coming up with ideas on how to do that. Now, do we have all the answers yet? Absolutely not. But there's a lot of prioritization that has happened and a lot of really good definitions of how we can propel projects forward, including technology. We also now have a follow-up meeting with industry. Even though many industry sectors were invited to these conversations, many of them were unable to attend for one reason or another. So we're doing specific industry roundtables beginning next week. We have 2 meetings set up, one on December 7th and one on December 14th. And I can already guarantee you that these industry leaders, their top concerns are going to be broadband. They can't expand. Industry cannot expand in our community unless we have good access to broadband. And of course, you all already know this. So I'm so thrilled that you are all working so diligently as we move forward. And I'm thankful that you're keeping me in the conversation as we do that. I also wanted to let you know that out of these discussions, other discussions have happened that are kind of sidelining in their own committees. One of those is a community resiliency microgrid project that would be county-wide. And in that, many of our MACs, and for those of you that are not familiar with a MAC, it's a Municipal Advisory Council. There are 6 of them in the county. They basically are committees that are the voice of our rural communities, and 100% of these MACs have asked for the county to put a policy in place for dig once. And so the dig once concept, of course, goes hand in hand with your work. And this is something that I've had discussions with Jeff about, and as well as the MAC leaders, as Brent also. There are dig once policies that other communities are using. There's a great kind of like a preset, easy to follow guideline that Humboldt is using based out of, I think, Contra Costa County. But bottom line is a lot of communities are putting these dig once policies in place, and it makes sense for the future of our residents and our businesses. So that community resiliency microgrid plan is another, as I mentioned, concept, and that also could go hand in hand with the dig once. We also have a remote worker separate group that's happening. As many of you may or may not know, there is a mass exodus now that everyone can work from home, and we are having an immigration of large numbers of tech industry people that are moving into the North Coast. And with little housing already for our own residents, they're moving in, buying up property, and they want broadband. They need it for their jobs. And we're trying to kind of preempt this migration with knowledge base so that they don't move into our communities, for instance, move into Westport and realize that now that they're there, they don't have enough broadband to be able to do their work from home. We want to ensure that their move is smooth and uneventful and as helped out as possible. So we're trying to preempt this by actually approaching the tech leaders that are in the Sacramento and Bay Area to talk to them and have a conversation about how we can better prepare their employees who they already know are potentially moving up north. And we're in conversations we've had with real estate agents in the region. That is exactly what's happening. And so getting that technology out, part of that challenge is being aware, right? We have residents that are fighting tooth and nail, putting up cell towers. We have businesses that don't understand that they need to have a website or the understanding of what that can do for them. You know, in a Google search, if someone's looking for a hot water heater, they don't want to learn about the Home Depot that's down in Santa Rosa. They want to learn about the local hardware store that's in Fort Bragg. So having a Check Up awareness campaign that Jeff is showing you right now is part of these concepts of how we can better engage our community as to why it's so important to have technology in our region. We also have another subcommittee, an apprenticeship group, and an apprenticeship program that would happen between Mendocino Community College and some private partnerships. We're also bringing UC Davis to the table to increase our educational options and keep our workforce local rather than have our students get through their classes and then decide to move somewhere else with their knowledge. We want to keep them in the area. And that goes hand in hand with a tech center that we're talking about creating, again, with partnerships with Mendocino Community College and UC Davis, which all goes hand in hand with an awareness campaign of how important technology is. So that was a lot of information. I will be happy to give you my email address in the chat. You're welcome to reach out to me at any time. You're welcome to join any of the conversations we're having. And if you know anyone as an industrial leader or in a manufacturing leader in the region, we would love to have them invited to our industry roundtables, which are happening over the next few weeks. And I'm happy to answer any questions right now if you have them.
Thank you, Una. And as you may have seen, we had...
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff. I have a lag.
Okay, sorry. As you may have seen, we have 3 action items that apply to technology, to the technology group, and broadband applies to all of the groups, as Una indicated. So I have 3 action items, and there's 2 versions of action item 1. If I believe I gave the opportunity for people to briefly scan those. If anyone wants to see any one of the 5 slides, just let me know.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Una. I know you have a meeting to get to. A few of other people have joined the meeting, so welcome. We're moving down the agenda. We just heard from Supervisor Williams before Una, and now we're moving to Supervisor Hashik.
Hi, you kind of broke up. You wanted me?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything to add right now, so I'm just.
I wondered if maybe you could bring us up to speed on the Kovlo issue.
Well,
There-
yeah, okay.
And it is listed on the agenda later on, but brief comments now would be most appreciated.
Well, we've had ongoing conversations with U.S. Cellular, and we are making progress. And so I think it's actually ahead of schedule for putting in a cell tower up there and some of the quick fixes too. So I'll leave it at that at this point. But as far as the long-term fix of the cell tower is looking like, it could be this spring. And we're hopeful for that.
Thank you very much, Chair Hasjak. Thanks for being here.